Ivy League school, like we're just trying to like get out of poverty.
You know, if it's my resume and your resume, but I know the guy, I'm gonna get the job.
That's a privilege.
It's just luck.
Yeah,
No, it's a privilege. It's an institutionalized
and that's
privilege.
okay.
Some people are lucky and some people aren't. It's just that simple. And it's hard to accept. The world's a cruel place.
Do you think you're accepting of the system because it's worked for you?
Is getting rich luck or is it hard work? That's going to be the topic that we're going to debate here today. Guys, I found a dope panel discussion from a channel called North Star. I'll leave a link to it down in the description box down below in case you guys want to see the content without my thoughts or the entirety of the content. But they brought together in sort of this like Jubilee like panel discussion, millionaires versus the middle class in order to debate this topic. We're going to have some fun with this one. Without further ado.
There are institutional and systemic barriers that prevent some people from becoming successful.
First off, I think it's hilarious that they got nothing but white millionaires on the right side and then everybody is ethnic on the left side. So let's get active on this.
I don't know if anyone that has millions of dollars has ever ridden a bus, but you don't understand that your day would be 4 hours to get somewhere back and forth as opposed to a 20-minute drive. And so the shift in all these things that happen are highly destructive. And it's not that people become lazy, it's because they become overwhelmed.
Education, access, knowledge,
Accessibility to almost everything.
redlining.
But that's like how complex adaptive systems work. The number one determinant of outcomes is your initial conditions. Like that's
very true.
Biology. That's how complexity systems, that's how the universe is designed. Right. So, you know, it just is what it is. Like, you know, like that's how the nature of the fabric of biology is. And so, you know, we can sit here and complain how it's not equal, but that's just how it is. Like, of course, it would be a utopian society where everybody, but then we could have that if we had, like, imagine we had unlimited energy, right? Because money is just stored energy, right? Like, that's all. You go to work, you expend your energy, they give you dollars, right? And that's where the real disconnect is. You're getting dollars in exchange for your energy, but then the dollar is losing its value and you don't know how to offset that, so then everything gets a little bit harder.
And more energy you put out.
And so, but all my point is on this is like, there's for sure barriers. Like if you're in a club, you know the right people, your network is your net worth. I mean, that's just how the world works. And like,
Survival
I
of
don't
the
really
fittest.
think there's any way to unwind that.
First off, the initial question, the response kind of didn't make a lot of sense to me. So let me highlight it right here. You can see it. There are institutional and systematic barriers that prevent some people from becoming successful. Now, when I think about institutional or systematic barriers, I'm thinking about policy, law, procedures that systematically disadvantage certain groups of people. The young brother on the right brought up was 4-hour bus trips. That's not institutional barriers. That's just transportation barrier. Now, the young lady on the left did bring up some issues, and they were specific to, I believe, redlining. She might have named something else. But I thought it was fair how he's answering it on the right. He's essentially saying that, hey, life is not fair. Nothing in nature has ever been fair. It's always been survival of the fittest. There's always been predators and there has been prey. And depending upon your hierarchy within the system is going to determine what access that you have, what resources that you have, and resources that you may be limited to. And the number one determinant of that access, of those resources, is where you were born, in what environment that you were born, under which parents that you were born. But for all of the G's on the channel, you must understand that A, life's not fair, and B, no one cares about your limited access to resources. But you must elevate yourself with courage, grit, and discipline. You must be prepared for the opportunities when they present themselves, because that's when you become successful. In a time period where you have more access to information and the ability to upskill yourself more than any other time within human history, the majority of what is stopping people is themselves, their want to hard work, to prioritize gaining knowledge over prioritizing seeking entertainment. That's why I'm in the middle when it comes to this specific question, because while I do think that there was some point and period in time where there was systematic forces being levied to subjugate groups of people, currently do I think those exist? not enough to withhold you from being who you want to be.
I mean, it's interesting to hear you say that it's a fact of biology in the universe when we know that these are man-made systems. We know that these are man-made policies. It's not that, you know, the universe or God or our biology has determined that it's right to redline. These are man-made policies. That's not just how it is. It's how you, as someone who has been born into capitalism, has experienced the world and as like life.
We found the Marxist.
And if we're thinking also about, you know, racialized capitalism, we're thinking about the institutionalization of white supremacy. It's really interesting to see, honestly, how that's coming up in this room, by way of how I'm hearing like, or I'm just kind of, struck by hearing that it's like a fact of biology and the universe, that these are barriers.
Sure, but I guess...
Shut up. Hey, listen, this is where these arguments will always fall. These are these people that will just hear buzzwords that come from the opposition, and they'll use weaponized terms such as white supremacy in order to belittle or denigrate your thoughts. This is why so many men that look just like that brother on the right voted Trump. Sorry to say, nothing that he said was that of a white supremacist. Talking about biology and the reality of survival of the fittest does not make you a supremacist. It's just your sneaky little way to get out of the argument. Now, in reference to redlining, there was a point there. But if you were arguing this back in the 70s and the 80s and maybe even the 90s as well, I'd more so be with you. And I'm not downgrading some of the impacts as what it shows up in some neighborhoods as it exists today. We can acknowledge it, but you cannot continue to utilize it as an excuse when the access to get information to upskill out of those neighborhoods is even. Although it's been outlawed for about 50 years or so, its lasting effects is going to continue into some neighborhoods for decades to come. To act like there aren't some legacy systematic inequalities that were baked into policy and our law would be ignorant, but it still doesn't give a current day excuse to victimize yourself while you prioritize Netflixing and chilling over getting active, reading a book, gaining a skill set and or a knowledge, taking a certification or a course. Quick emergency meeting. I was recently searching for my name online and found way too much personal information, which brought me down this weird rabbit hole of how that could have happened, and found out that there's companies out there called data brokers that will sell your data to marketers, scammers, and even stalkers. And it's a nasty, disgusting feeling knowing that there's bad actors out there selling my information, selling your information for profit. But that's why I'm recommending today's sponsor, Aura. Now, I use Aura to automatically remove my information from these sites and keep my information off. But they do other things as well, such as bank fraud and identity theft alerts, VPN access. But guys, utilize my link down in the description box down below for a 14-day trial. At least see if you've been compromised. Privacy is king in this day and age, and you should know if your information is out there. So again, utilize my link, aura.com/MTR, in the description box down below to try 2 weeks free. That's way more than enough time to see if your personal data has been exposed. Go now.
What I'm trying to say is, like, if you just think about an actual like Sierpinski's triangle or something, where it's where you start has the most. This is just math. Like, the most determinant outcome, like, is based on your initial condition, not what you do. Like, I mean, look, you go to Chipotle, the guy who's grilling the chicken's working hard, right? There's a lot of people working hard. And, like, I think that's the whole American dream thing, is, like, you want to believe that if you work hard, that you get results, right? And I think that's what we're talking about here. But what I'm trying to tell you is most of it's just luck. Where you were born is the most important thing in determining outcomes. Now, you can overcome that, for sure. No question, but I'm just telling you that, like, it's, you know, it just, that's how the systems work, like, and that's how you can do it in a non-human system, and you can see this as well. And that's what I meant by biology. Like, there's all kinds of complex science that, like, just shows this.
Right.
Feudalism and monarchy has been the norm throughout history. So
totally.
We had an aberrational period where democracy and the people had a moment. But, like, I'm just saying, over the history of humans.
Yep.
Feudalism is what's reigned.
I get the history. I ask, have we not evolved enough? Are we not educated enough? Why can we not use AI to take us out of that?
Because maybe that's just how humans are derived. Like the top of the pyramid, there's certain, and a lot of the people who make it to the top are not good people.
And that's
You know
all
what I
I'm
mean?
saying is that
and
people,
so like,
that's
how do you protect against that? A sociopath can be functioning.
That's my point. And I think that's the point, right?
For sure.
Right.
I'm not disagreeing with
No,
that.
no, and I'm not
But I'm just saying
disagreeing
it
with
is
you.
what it is.
Yeah.
That, I'm much more accepting that is the structure of how things
Right.
work. And like, we just try our best, basically.
Do you think that's how it should work? I mean,
How
would
it
you
should
fight
work.
to change that?
Oh, sure. I mean, I would like it if everybody just said, we're all having pina coladas and no worries, for sure. Absolutely. Like, I'm a normal guy. I'm just telling you that, like, I'm accepting of, like, how systems work versus, like, and everyone try, we'd be nice to other people.
Do you think you're
charities.
accepting of the system because it's worked for you?
Am I accepting of the system because it's worked for me?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's worked for me.
Got him.
I mean, there's been things that have not gone right in my life, but no, I'm just accepting because I'm kind of a philosopher, science person. Like
I don't know if I believe him there. I think, just like he was saying before, survival of the fittest. And if you were a part of a family, a system, a hierarchy where your team was winning more often than not and got an opportunity to make some of the rules, right? I think that it's easier to enjoy the system. And I think that it's okay. It's very okay to admit that, as long as you acknowledge that it exists. And if you are not one and true with the system, that you also must acknowledge that you must work twice as hard. And that's okay. I think people having an expectation that everybody needs to work like equal and equity in all situations. You cannot create equity in all situations. And I know that a lot of DEI initiatives push equity as it refers to race and gender, but there's so many other inequalities in each and every life that you cannot account for. So I think that to simplify it down to a gender or race sometimes is just based off of having groups advocating for that. Like, let's say that there was a group of advocating for, young men that were raised by single mothers. Right. And now I need to form an alliance and a group because men raised by single mothers didn't have a fair shot. So they need equity because fathers were not present. Right. Like, and that could legit be a thing that is started. But because no one's fighting for it or it doesn't exist or it doesn't have the advocacy, then, it's not going to receive any type of time or legislation. Life is a competition and that will never damn change. But if you over focus on being a victim of the system that you are in, as opposed to prioritizing becoming a winner, then you will always lose. In the short term, you might feel like you're winning because you're getting a sudden bump up, but in the long term, it's not sustainable. What's sustainable is results.
look at how things are and look at history. I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, I've had a nice life, so I guess I'm just more, it's easier to have that position. Let's put it that way. I'll agree with that.
There's definitely a bigger and growing gap between, the ones that do not have anything and the ones that have everything, simply because, that's how economics work these days. The investments opportunities and, you can multiply
And it's going to get bigger with AI.
them much
gap.
more versus people at the bottom. They're pretty much living paycheck to paycheck, right? That's sort of like they cannot think about investments and savings. And so at first I thought when you mentioned biology, I thought, well, maybe you're talking about survival of the fittest, right? Because you think
That's what I'm
about the
talking about.
evolution, the people who live in paycheck to paycheck, they have, they find extra time because they're ambitious, because they want to grow, because they want to achieve American dream, they want to grow better and get better and better. In this case, they kind of slowly rise up, and so there is an opportunity, again, pure due to the evolution, to go up, right?
Yep.
On the other hand, the ones that already have plenty, the billionaires that are in the world, I mean, that typically by the third generation in families, wealth disappears. So like, whoever's on top, they eventually is going to go down, versus there is always an opportunity for people to go up. And so again, if they believe in evolution, in this case, survival of the fittest, people are going to succeed.
Like, think about elite universities
that's a great
as
point.
like a gateway to better life, And I have lots of friends who went to Ivy League schools that didn't, let's just say they went to got in, and that they didn't have from the right family. They're the family who their father went
Nepotism.
there or something. And they're moving that away. They're starting to remove that at Stanford and the other schools to give more opportunities to other people, which is a step in the right direction, right? To your point, like we can do things.
Yeah, but those schools are $100,000 a year, like USC or something, and so the opportunity still isn't there. You know, whatever it is that they're doing, right?
I think it goes way deeper than that. I think that the limitations that are put on us are a result of choices before. It's a very slow and patient game. I mean, the people from the Reagan administration and the war on drugs that took the fathers out the homes, that made the moms single parents, who had the kids on the streets, like we're treading just to trying to keep up, so many systematic things have been put in place that affect us years later. That Ivy League school, like we're just trying to like get out of poverty, or we're just trying to graduate school. I just think it's a slow, intentional on how they put these barriers in, and we are fighting the results of that. So I can't even think about Ivy League school. It's,
I was just giving it as an example of like
right.
trying to make it where there's more opportunity, because that is a place where then it can give you more opportunity. And that's just one example. I mean,
Again, super complicated topic. Her response, I think, would be a lot more valuable in the past. 40, 30, 20 years ago. Paying for a 4-year Ivy League school, $100,000 a year school. You live in the age of information. You live in the gig economy. You could go to a community college school for 2 years, upgrade to a state school that's highly respected. I mean, shit, I went to Penn State University and still get a fantastic job if you want to go the college route. Will it be difficult? Yes. Will it be more difficult than going to an Ivy League? Yes. But is paying the extra couple of $100,000 worth it? I don't think so. If you need a car for transportation, is that Bentley going to get you there in more style? Potentially. But you should be okay with that Infiniti. But trust me when I say you're going to be fine making it to your destination with that used Infiniti. Let's go.
in general, the people you know, if they're people who have power, or like it's easier to go up knowing somebody versus here's my resume. You know, if it's my resume and your resume, the same thing, right? We have the exact same resume, but I know the guy, I'm gonna get the job, you know? Like, if it's just same, and like, that's just kind of what I'm trying to say, is that like the net.
That's a privilege. Right.
It's just luck.
Yeah,
No, it's a privilege. It's an institutionalized
and that's
privilege.
okay. There's nothing wrong with privilege.
Privilege is luck.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't deserve anything. Isn't that what privilege is? Like, you're saying you didn't deserve to have that advantage, in essence? I just think of it as luck.
It's not necessarily a thing about deserving this. It's more so about this thing about an inherent advantage that you have been able to have.
Yeah.
Having an inherent advantage is called having luck of the draw, ma'am. I just noticed it looks like she had a 2-year-old utilize her arm as a coloring book for her tattoos. For example, women that have the privilege of getting into the club for free was granted to them by nothing that they can control. Luck of the draw. Let's go.
But why though?
Because of us operating in systemic and institutional barriers.
A system that kept you privileged.
Right.
Right, but again, I didn't choose to be born the way I did, or anybody, you know, like we're born that. It was just, some people are lucky and some people aren't. It's just that simple. And it's hard to accept. The world's a cruel place. I'm sorry. Like, it's just the truth.
All right, guys, I'm going to pause the content right here. Absolutely fantastic conversation. This one was stretching my brain muscle a little bit. And I like when I'm able to stretch it. Pause. Anyway, let me wrap up this discussion right here. Again, I'll leave a link down to the content down in the description box down below. They begin to talk about some other topics as well that you probably want to tune into if you want to continue on in the conversation. But let me try to wrap up some thoughts and to say that, listen, at the end of the day, whether or not you're on the side of, you know, the luck of the draw, or if you grew up underneath some form of oppression that you have identified, sitting around and waiting for some magical opportunity, some fairy tale roll of the die moment where life will eventually play fair for you is not how the world works. It's not how nature works. It has not worked like that ever in the history of our world, ever. That's never how success has worked. Life is hard. It's difficult. It owes you no favors, and especially as a man, you don't get points for trying or attempting. You might learn from that attempt, but you don't win within that attempt, you get results for performing, for getting good outcomes. So you have to think about what are the ways to increase the chances of successful outcomes. And if you think that that is unfair, then I don't know what to tell you. No matter if you were born into this world on easy difficulty, or if you were born into this world on expert level with all skulls turned on, you must understand that this is competition, and it is what it is. So if you want to win within this world, you have to be able to fix your mindset. If any of this victimhood dogma has reached within your veins, you must expel it. You must get disciplined. You must build something. And then you must succeed. But all right, guys, this was a fun one today. Let me know what you think down in the comment box down below. Let's continue to have these super dope discussions. I've been your host here today. Mediocre tutorials and reviews. Signing off for right now. Until next time, you two. Peace.
She belongs to the street.
Girl, don't hold my hand. You a mattress actress on the OnlyFans. Get your money, girl, but damn, how is that your only plan? What you gonna do when you get too old to strip and dance? Get up out your echo chamber screaming period and yes. You a low down dirty woman if you try to get knocked up by a high value man.